Okay, next up for our website teardown is Harmony Day School. So we're going to pop your site into the website grader. Let's see what we get. Just thinking, must be a lot. Oh, 82 out of 100. Look at you, not doing too poorly at all. So right at the top line, so obviously the one that's in the red is performance. And so you got 12 out of 30 on that. So we'll dig into that a little bit. But look at you. You've got 30 out of 30 on mobile, 30 out of 30 on SEO, and 10 out of 10 on security. So you are doing fairly well. 82 out of 100 is pretty good. So again, we're not yet talking about just the design or anything of the content on your homepage or your website. But so let's just jump into performance here. So see what it says here. It says page requests. So that's a lot of page requests. So what that request means is that when a page loads, right, when your home page loads, there's 93 calls to the server that your site is on. It could be other servers as well. So it could be like many servers because you're a lot of times websites are using content or features that are actually being pulled from what are called web services. So they call it to those different web services and they pull content in. So that could be something like fonts, or it could be that's usually the most common one is like using Google Fonts and things like that. So page requests aren't a bad thing, but having 93 of them can that means a lot. And so you'll see this a lot of times with with WordPress websites, and the majority of websites on the internet are WordPress, so this is very common. So depending on the theme and what your webmaster has done to produce the visuals they want, you could have a lot of page requests. And what that does is it slows down. It just slows down the performance of the site. So if you notice here, your page size is 2.5 megabytes. So that's pretty good. That means you don't have a lot of big, heavy images. Basically, that's usually what slows down a site is the size. Every time a page loads, there's a download of content. So sometimes people, are using like a template, like a WordPress template or something, and they actually they upload like a really high res image, on their site, and that can, it's not a J, it's not, well, it could be a JPEG that's high res, but it could be something like a PDF or something that like, gets pulled down. It could be very, very heavy. So that's good. And so page speed overall is 5.5 seconds. So that's a little bit slow for an individual website. That's a little bit slow. So we'll take a look at that. And when I take a look at your site, I might be able to, sort of identify the things that could be slowing it down. Um, so so here it says browser caching. Um, so browser caching is something that can help. That means that next time your site loads, it'll load faster the next time because you're promoting better browser caching. So you don't have that on the site. That'll improve it. That's not so helpful for new visitors to your site, but it is helpful for people that are coming back to your site. Compression. So that just means that the way like there's ways of compressing files so that they're smaller and that they load. So that could be, that's just not something that's there. Render blocking. Yeah, so again, things are rendering and it's just not. These are a couple of like very minor fine-tune optimizations. I don't think you have to worry about that really minor stuff. And to be totally honest, the performance side of the page, as long as it's not really bad, as long as you're not doing like a really slow page load that will make Google drop you, this super technical stuff is usually not the thing that really, makes a difference for like a standalone Montessori school or any kind of school website. Um, Again, you got 30 out of 30 on being mobile responsive, but I would like to make note that this is what it captured, so that doesn't look great. So that's something we'll take a look at that on when I open up your site. The site itself is mobile responsive, so that's good. That just means that Google's going to know that, and Google's not going to basically drop you in the rankings on a mobile search, which is really important because most searches are done on mobile. Um, so clearly somebody has paid attention to um, applying keywords on your site strategically. Now, because you got a 30 out of 30 on SEO, I want to make sure that this isn't misleading. That doesn't mean you're actually doing good search engine optimization. All we're looking at is there consistency in the keywords inside the page titles, the meta description, the headings, and the sitemap. So that's just like, did somebody actually apply a keyword? Was there a particular keyword or keyword phrase placed in all those places it should be placed? And do you have a sitemap? Yes, you do. So that's all good, but it actually doesn't mean that you're actually placing the most strategically valuable keywords on those sites. So that's a different conversation. Now you might be, but again, there are uh, countless SEO, search engine optimization, snake oil salesmen out there. So that's unfortunate because there's also a lot of good ones. And again, I'm going to say something to keep in mind when you're getting approached by SEO people, which you are likely to, that's likely to happen to you very often. If they just jump forward and tell you, like, right off the bat, like, you need SEO, and they try to sell you on their full SEO services right out of the gate, that's your indication that you should stop talking to that person. If they want to first engage you in an audit, to actually see if SEO strategies are relevant to you, meaning, is there actually enough search volume on Google or other search sites um, of related terms to warrant investing in this process. So another way to think about that is, let's say this guy was selling you a billboard. He was like a billboard salesperson and calling you and saying, "Hey, advertise on our billboard." You might first want to know that there are actually cars driving on the street where the billboard will go up, right? And ideally, you'd like to know that not only are there cars driving on that street, but your actual market is driving on that street. That's something that you want to know first and foremost. So and it's worthwhile to pay for that audit. It's a worthwhile service to invest to see, does SEO make sense for you? It does not make sense for everybody. From what we've seen, it's a hit and miss thing. We see that it's half and half. Some schools can definitely get benefit out of SEO. Some schools can't. I do also want to say, um, for sure, before you focus on SEO, you should definitely make sure you've got a good, strong Facebook advertising funnel that's well optimized, because you will always get the best return on investment from that. So I would say, you know, once you get that and that's well optimized, if you want to look at other lead generation strategies, SEO is a good one to look at, not necessarily to do, unless you can work with an expert and determine what your actual opportunity is out there, and that's different for every school. So just don't don't let anybody convince you that no matter what you should do search engine optimization. um, okay, so 10 out of 10 on security. So you obviously have a good SSL certificate on your site, so that's great. And that means Google's going to reward you with a higher ranking, because they like to promote pages that have security on them. Okay, now let's take a look at your site. Here we go. So I'm just going to refresh the. Oh, actually, going to. 1 second here. Let's jump into your site. So I'm going to load your site here. All right. So this is a nice, I would say, initially, I'm not going to talk too much about your actual design choices or your branding, because while I might be opinionated, it doesn't mean that my opinions matter. All that really matters with your design is, do the right prospective parents, um, figure out how to book a tour at your school? Because That's what the purpose of your website is. The purpose of your website, you know, like branding exercises. I get into conversation. I can get challenged about this by different people, but what I can tell you, what I very, very firmly believe is that how pretty your logo is, and the color palette of your website, these kind of branding things, um, they really, as long as they're good enough, meaning you're presenting yourself in a professional way, um, they have no impact. So basically, you just have to make sure that you appear to be professional. That's the bottom line. So you know I happen to like this logo. I think it's so I will share that. um, and I do like the overall approach, the design of the site. It's nice, clean, um, clear. It's moving rather smoothly, and that's good. So the most important thing I'm going to comment on, is this initial image that came up. You've got this. This is your call to action here. So it says learn more. Okay. So I do like that you're promoting your open house right there. That's smart move. Now, obviously the main goal of the site when it first loads, um, is to get the parent to click on learn more, right? So that's your main call to action. I think I said in a previous video, I don't love the call to action learn more. I prefer something that um, makes it like just really, really clear, what it is, meaning what you want them to do. So you want them to learn more, but why? Why learn more? It's like, what am I going to learn about? So anybody that thinks about this for like 2 milliseconds is going to be like, oh, well, learn more, probably about the open house or about how to contact the school or learn more about the school. But that's not learning more about the school is not the purpose of your website. The purpose of your website there's one singular solitary purpose of your website if you're a private school, and that's to get the right parents to book a tour. So I think you should just jump straight to that as the call to action. Book a tour. Or if you're promoting the open house here, it should be sign up for the open house. Like, it can be wordy. It should be super painfully clear, what it is. Now, I also what I really would like people to start staying away from, and this is a little bit, again, I'm just very opinionated about this, but I think you should try to use your home page more like a landing page, because you don't really need a whole website, to be totally honest. There are good reasons to have a website, but you know like that's there's good reasons to have a website for engaging. It's a good place to have content for engaging your enrolled parents. That's actually a really good use of your website. Your website should be a good home base for all the information and communication engagement that your enrolled parents need. But as a as a as a tool for growing your enrollment, your web, which is really the main purpose of your website, or this is what your marketing site, your marketing. It really doesn't need to be more than one pager, more than a one pager. You want to get uh, as focused as you can on your website. So, and if and if let's say let's say you just take my word for it and you believe me, and and then you go to your board and say, hey, we're going to take a different approach with our website. We're going to make it more like a landing page, and you get some pushback from people in your board, or your staff or whatever, and they're like, hey, that John guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Fair enough. Who said I know anything? So one thing I might suggest is this navigation up top is it's hurting your chances that the right parent will click on that optimized call to action, which is also scrolling. And I strongly advise not having that, by the way. So don't have scrolling call to actions here. I think you should stick to one. The scrolling images, by the way, is just this scrolling image. You just need to pick one solid image. Get rid of the image slideshow. It's just working against you. It's not doing anything for you. I promise you that. So this is a nice image. I like it. I think it's well, it's this website's like well designed as far as web design goes. Um, my other issue with this main call to action, by the way, is that it's not standing out. It's not it's not providing any contrast. It's not popping. It's not drawing my eye to it. It's actually in its rested state when it's not being hovered. It's quite thin and small, and it's pretty. I think this is a very pretty design, but what you should be doing here is you should have a strong color, maybe one of these colors in the logo, maybe. And really, orange, by the way, orange is there's no hard and fast rule, but orange, from when you read blogs and stuff like that about design and call to actions and everything, orange seems to be the color that when people test it seems to get the most seems to get the most engagement when they're split testing traffic to landing pages. Orange is, it's just kind of like an industry, thing, but that doesn't apply in every scenario. Of course, every market's a little different, but since you have a nice orange in your logo, might as well just go for it. And I would make that button orange, this orange here, and hey, I'll even do it for you. Let's see what it looks like. Give me a second here. I'll whip this up. This is a little fancy work that only web designers know how to do. So I'm gonna make this. See if I can make this orange for you. Watch me embarrass myself now. Hold on. Where's my tool set? Okay, pick a color. No, that's not the one I want. Darn it. Pick the wrong color, color picker. What are you doing? Oh boy. Okay, I'll try this again. I've got too many things open with this recorder and it's getting in the way. Let's see what we can get. Okay, I'll try this again. Let's just see what that looks like. Now I'm in it. Now I got to do it. Ah, got it. All right, now let's try that again. Oh no, we got the wrong. I don't like this one, by the way. Stick with this one. This is a great. Just stick with this one image. This is great. I mean, that's just my opinion, but why not give it to you? Okay, let's see if I can get this color. Okay, I'm going to try to see if I can do this here. There we go. See? Look at that. Magic. I just changed your website. Don't worry, it's not staying on your website. It's only for our purposes here. I didn't change your website, by the way. All I did is change what my browser is seeing, in case you're concerned that I just made an executive decision on your site. I did not. This is just on my browser for the purpose of this video. If you go to your website, it's going to be that, that pretty, translucent background, but I suggest go with that. That's really nice. That's pretty. That pops out. And it matches your, your branding over here. So anyways, there's a little freebie for you. So just so you know how I did that is I went up here and I grabbed the color code from that leaf in your logo. Yeah, so that's some feedback. And so what I would do with this navigation up here is I would actually I would get rid of any other link or button or anything. I would get rid of all this stuff. This stuff probably just came with the template. You don't need it. I would just get rid of this black bar. I would I mean, it's okay to keep the phone number there for a website. If this was an actual landing page, I would get rid of that because I'd want to control the traffic into that one call to action. And you might want to consider that. I know people might, some other folks might disagree, but I really like to push all my traffic into one optimal way, one path, so that because that way when you're funneling your traffic into one direct categorical funnel, then you can it's then exactly how things are performing. It's much easier to track and test and optimize. But if you have people coming in and calling on the phone, you don't really know. You want to know where they're coming from. So, and by the way, phone calls are not, it's not a really good use of your time. I actually think that you shouldn't talk to families until they book a tour. Now, you need to have a good funnel that drives them to book a tour. But I think that people that are running schools, If you got a good marketing system creating enough leads, it should drive them to self book a tour using a tour booking system, and then those are the only people you should be spending your time talking to, because really parents that are just calling you out of the blue and asking you questions and sometimes not being so polite about it, those people don't even deserve your time. The people that deserve your time are the ones that have taken the action to, click on the button, come, fill out a form, book a tour, and those people deserve your time, because there's a whole bunch of people that really deserve your time in the time of your staff in your school, and those are the people that are actually paying tuition, right? Those people deserve your time, and your staff and the students deserve your time. I don't think parents that are just, I don't think you should let parents call the office just to kick the tires, because that's a use of your staff's time, and there's so many other things more important for your staff to be doing, rather than spending 10, 5, 20, 30 minutes talking to parents that might not be a good fit for your school anyways. So why not, uh, if you have a good marketing system that's generating enough inquiries, you'll be much more confident in taking that approach. But just take that with a grain of salt. That's what I think you should do. Um, yeah, so I just think on a homepage, you should make everything on the initial page load kind of present like a landing page where there's nothing else to do except for one main call to action. Make that call to action pop. Now your call to action pops here. But if I was to reload this page, it'll go back to that clear. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to, if take a look at this, right? This is the orange button that I think actually looks pretty good, and does pop like a good primary call to action. Now I'm going to reload the page. Let's see what it looks like. No, totally different. It's much less visible, doesn't draw the eyes. But if you give it that orange treatment again, it's gonna draw the eyes right down to it. So I definitely would go that route. All right, so let's leave it there, folks. Thanks a lot for paying attention if you listened to it, and I apologize if I just rambled on, but I hope you got something out of it. All the best.